Oh, you're
I
outside again?
I know you're in New York, and I don't know. Chances are it may not be as sunny and as beautiful.
No, it's not.
I think I'd bring you a little bit of sunshine.
Beautiful, beautiful.
It's quite lovely out here. This is one of the reasons why I made that move originally from good old Brooklyn, New York. All right, all right, all right. Welcome. If you're hearing the sound of my voice, then welcome to the Kai Greene Effect. This is our opportunity to connect with you. We got a show going on. That's me, people of Generation Iron, my friend Vlad Uden, and are coming to you live. What's good, man?
What's up, brother? How was your Thanksgiving, man?
You know what? My Thanksgiving was beautiful. Beautiful. Um, how was yours?
It was all right, man. But people want to know actually. Can you share some of your favorite recipes? You cook, Kai? I remember you cooking back in the day in the
Oh
kitchen. I
man,
remember.
you want to know how I spent my Thanksgiving? Actually, I love Thanksgiving. Um, in fact,
No way, man. That's what you ate?
yeah, brother.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah,
Kai. Come
man. It was
on.
a lonely man Thanksgiving, but you know what? We got it done. I enjoyed it anyway. Me and Minika. Yeah.
Bro, I remember that we were first filming with you. It was August, I think, right? August in Brooklyn at that apartment. And you were cooking, man, and it was so hot in there, man. It was like you had like on the stove you have like four things, and every one of them was going. It was like eggs on one, then you had salmon on the other one, then you had sweet potatoes boiling on the other one. It was like, oh my god, man! It was like 100 degrees in that kitchen. It was like 200 degrees in that kitchen, man.
Yeah, well, the devil's been known to come and stop by and, have a little bit of something that's been so hot in there. I'm used to it though. I'm used to it.
I know.
Uh,
No.
yeah, thermogenesis is one of those things Lee Haney sold me on back in the days. Watching the totally awesome world of Lee Haney. I was a fan and enthusiast of the sport bodybuilding from a very, very, very young and innocent time in my life. And I just got to say, yeah, man, I believed in it. I still believe in thermogenesis. I still believe in keeping those temperatures very hot. Yeah, I'm comfortable like that. That's what it's
No, for
called.
sure. That's why you always got the hoodie on, right? It doesn't matter what weather it is. It doesn't really matter, right? You get
Yeah,
used to it.
yeah, because you gotta take a time and cover up. I'm just kidding.
So speaking of covering up, actually, so there's two trains of thought when it comes to bodybuilding, right? Some people believe you need to hide your body throughout the whole year until you're ready to reveal it, right? Almost like a surprise, kind of like Dorian Yates, right? He would always be like covering up the whole year, and then he would reveal himself on the stage, right? And some bodybuilders believe you should just be comfortable, always be able to kind of like have a tank top on, so to speak. You know what I mean? Which one? I guess which one are you more leaning towards?
You know what, man? I'm gonna be honest. I feel like I learned the art of being stealth, early in my career. I realized one of the things that happened, um, you couldn't look the same way all the time, you
Right.
know. And I saw that a lot of times when you went to competition, a lot of the guys would stay covered up, just to hide. So you would kind of smoke out who your competition was, And it's so funny because I would come to the show as a teenage bodybuilder, and I remember you kind of look around in the room, and everybody goes through this. You walk in, the weigh-in's going to be, maybe in another hour or so. You get there and you look around, and everybody that is waiting looks like they are going to be the next supernatural freak that's better than you and that, is more prepared than you and they're bigger than you and they've got more veins running through their traps than you. Um, but I've learned like the real guys to worry about, they weren't the ones that were there with the cut off, t-shirts and the tank tops already like, pumped up
Right.
and vascular as anything, and just like, waiting for because those guys they were the peacocks, but usually those guys didn't come to the fore. The
Peacocks.
guys that to worry about, I'll never forget. I went to the teen nationals one year, and Branch Warren came in there. He was a middleweight teen, you know. And this dude, if you saw him in a t-shirt backstage, you didn't look at him twice. Let me tell you why. Because at the same show, you had a teenager like Jay Cutler. He was 240 pounds, you
Mm.
know, and this dude couldn't hide. He was wearing like a boat neck, one of them boat neck shirts with the traps cut out, you know.
Mhm.
Everything he did looked big, was big. He was just big. His quad, he wore spandex, the hot skins they used to wear back then with the lines running down the sides, making them look all kinds of round.
Hmm.
Um, Huge. It's like, damn, who is this teenager? Well, that's obviously going to be the guy that's going to walk away with top honors. But if I told you who won, it was a middleweight that when you saw him in his shirt or saw him dressed, just wearing his clothes, you'd have never looked twice. He was a middleweight. He was a little guy. He looked like a little guy.
Branch
And
Warren, right?
Branch Warren, when he took his clothes off, once they started talking about getting up on the line,
Mm.
bringing out the guys, the dude that won the overall was the middleweight Branch Warren. I say again, Branch Warren, who was a middleweight back then. This is before he became a mass monster. And he actually had an amazingly beautiful shape to his physique. Anyway, but you wouldn't have seen him. The guys that won the shows that were the complete package, the most balanced, the most conditioned, they usually were the guys that, they didn't walk into the show with this major announcement. They came in there ready to do work.
You like that? You're a fan of that? You're a fan of that? I guess that
Yeah,
type
I
of
feel
stuff.
like I'm Star Wars fans. You saw the Return of the Jedi. That dude walked in there with no fancy fanfare. This dude walked in it's
Cape
about
on.
that business with his game face on,
Right,
lightsaber at his side.
right, right.
You know,
You know, there was a
all business.
video. There was a video that went viral like a couple of years ago. It was Shaun Clarita, and he's in the gym. I think before the Olympia. I think before he won. I think, and he's wearing a hoodie, and the hoodie is like probably like 5XL, literally. So it's like huge hoodie, right? And he's working out, pumping up or something like that. It looked very funny that people went crazy over that video, but he's similar type of mindset. He's he likes to be covered up basically before and then he's obviously a great bodybuilder, right? So it's kind of
He's
similar
a
similar
great
situation.
bodybuilder, and he's been so for a very long time. I mean, this dude was he comes from a work ethic that is
Yeah.
no nonsense, balls to the wall, and will labor long and hard in the shadows.
Hmm.
Um, I think long before he even got a chance to really see his star power develop, that dude learned how to work, and he's been one of those guys that are hardworking bodybuilders from very 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 long time ago. It's you know what? It's really impressive to see him now, um, because he's always been a giant. Always been a giant. Doesn't do things small. Uh, the size of his vision was tremendous, and you knew
Right.
it. You knew it back then, and you certainly get a chance to see more of it expressed in his physique now.
You know what's interesting? So he's qualified in for next year's Olympia, both 212 and men's open because he won both 212. Well, 212 he's a Mr. Olympia, right? So, but he's qualified for the men's open for next year, and he expressed earlier that he wants to do two shows at the same show, basically. Right? He wants to do both Mr. Olympia men's open and 212. Now they didn't let him do it last or 2 years before because it's against the rules, I guess. But do you think they should let him do it? Like, do you think they should make an exception and just let him compete in both? Do you think that's smart? Just to make something different, you know?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. For a guy like that, it can be very hard at some point to keep coming up with new ways of keeping yourself challenged. This dude has already been, as high as Mr. Olympia. of, you know, 212. He's been at the mountaintop already, and technically, for him, as he continues to go on in developing his career and speaking in ways that allows him to feel challenged and continuing to step into the fullness of his purpose. Um, I mean, what else is there left for him to do?
Man's open, I guess. He wants to win that,
Well,
I
that's my point. To continue to grow, and I mean, he still has a lot of growing to do. Think about this. There was a time when they held Hadi Chopin back. Hadi Chopin was competing in that 212, and they said, "Hey, you
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
do it."
yeah.
And they forbade him, and the dude said, "But I really want to." And they said, "Well, yeah, but the truth is, look, you're still a 212 guy. You could never measure up to the
Right.
open." And they were like, "Nah, you know what? We want to protect you. We want to protect the sport." They said, "Hey, you know what? We're not gonna allow you to do that. We're just gonna hold you back." And this dude was like, "No, no, no, I could really do it." And like, look, you get lost in that lineup. You're not you're not more than a 212. Be happy where you are,
Mm-hmm.
and accept, the ceiling. And he said, "No, I'm not trying to do that." He petitioned, and then eventually, they allowed him to actually cross over into the open. But I believe originally it was done in a foreign country. I believe they were competing like somewhere in like somewhere abroad. He was allowed to do it at a pro show there.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing about it is the dude ended up blowing the competition away. He ended up, walking away with top honors
Oh yeah.
in the open category.
Oh
And it
yeah.
became even harder now to deny him,
Oh yeah.
and
Definitely.
then we know what he went on to do. This dude went on to become Mr. Olympia in the open category. I mean, it's like how do you limit a guy like that?
Right.
If there's anybody that still possesses the ability to continue to grow and show his best and challenge himself and overcome those challenges to do exceedingly better than we might have thought possible, it's certainly Shaun Clarita. So yeah, I mean, we could be looking at the making of a whole nother situation, much like we saw with Heidi Chopin.
Yeah, man. A couple of things that made the news last week, actually. You familiar with that guy with the Bazooka Arms? They call him the Russian Popeye. Well, he made it the news again. You know what I'm talking about, right? This guy is super weird, but it's funny. We actually had him in the movie called Bigorexia that we did years ago. I don't want to call him weird, but he's definitely not ordinary. So he made the news again because they said that his arms were on the verge of collapsing. He was about to lose both of his arms. It's not funny, obviously, but and then he made a statement saying, "No, my arms are fine. They're just leaking or whatever." Um, what you think about this type of display of how do you call that? Expose or something like that? I don't know. What do you think about that guy?
Wow, um, man, I really hope that he's not looking at losing his arms. I think that is uh, a set of very interesting consequences that a lot of times we don't want to have to consider for our passion. Um, uh, I don't know, man. Sometimes to see an athlete do something really extraordinary with their craft, with their willingness to work, the pursuit of their dream and their vision to develop themselves. Sometimes I guess there are people that will stand on the sidelines and say, "Yeah, I don't understand it." I think that's probably the same case with most artists. I don't want to act like I know, specifically this gentleman and what his passions are. I mean, a lot of people are actually survivors of the need for intense therapy. You know what I mean? And the gym and the lifestyle is like
Right.
a way to approach that.
So
Um,
the documentary Bigorexia that we did, right? That explored sort of the condition, which basically is kind of like anorexia, but in reverse, where people have a desire to be massive, right? So we had people like Craig Elias in the film, many others, and he was the Bazooka Arms guy was in it, and it seemed like his whole point of doing this, right, injecting the arms or whatever, was basically just to be recognizable, right? Because whether you like him or hate him, right, he's being talked about. And I think that's really kind of the point of like a freak show type of a display, but it get people talking about you. So that creates opportunities of different ways. You know what I mean? So it's not so much he wants to be huge. I think it's just more like about creating some kind of freak mode physique. You know what I mean? Like freak physique, basically, for people to point fingers, like almost like a circus. You know?
Freak show. I get it. Hey man, I think I've been guilty of it at different times in my life and career. Yeah, man. And what man wouldn't want to be talked about for having appendages that are larger than average?
Wow.
Yes. Well,
Kai, let's take a quick break. I want to talk about our friends over at G Fuel. Now, G Fuel is an amazing supplement that is designed to give you focus and to give you energy. This supplement is sugar-free. It has 140 grams of caffeine and I've added glycine for amino acid support, recovery, and endurance. If you want more energy and focus throughout the day, and if you want to have more endurance, please check out G Fuel. Go to gfuel.com and type in code GI20 for a discount. Shout out to G Fuel. They're a great partner of ours, and I strongly recommend everybody checking out their product. What did you take on Tren Twins, by the way? I know last episode we spoke about Sam Sulek's popularity. You know about Tren Twins?
yeah, I'm familiar. I'm familiar, but I'm from a different. I'm from an older school in the
I know,
sport.
I know.
Um, and I applaud the idea of being able to grow within it and to. I think the sport is evolving, just like the marketing and promotional ability within it. Has changed and continues to evolve. And the things that you would have needed to do to see your career grow and advance in the sport, 30 years ago, um, it's certainly not the same things that you would need to do now. I think I remember training with a friend of mine, Blessing.
Oh, blessing. Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, man.
Um, um, and I remember one of the struggles that I saw he had was with people telling him that, hey man, you need to focus more on your training and less on,
Mhm.
being the influencer, entertainment personality, But the truth is, at the time that he was coming up in the sport, a lot of everything that he needed to do to develop his business, to even maintain his commitment to advancing,
Mhm.
um, required him to continue to grow his social media, and still maintain the responsibilities of what it took to stay on top of that, doing skits. Um, One of the things I thought was a distraction was that, damn, we're training, we're in the process of getting a good concentration flow on, and it seems like that would be interrupted with, hold on, let me set up my camera, set up my phone to
Mhm.
kind of get this in my stories. And it would be like, wow, I could see how someone could say, listen, man, I like to be able to tune out and just focus on training,
Mhm.
without the interruption of finding the right angle. Is good enough light? Hold on, is this, how should I do this exercise to be captured in my stories,
Sure.
or maybe included, in the continuance of advancing my social media platform? It seemed like everything you had to do, started with you being able to think about that even before every set sometimes. Um, but I think, the truth is it's a responsibility and a requirement, you know, to learn how to navigate that, you know, while you are still working and concentrating and aiming to be a top athlete at the top of your game. I think that, being able to, well, when they talk about, uh, damn, the correct words escape me right now, but being able to, divide your concentration and masterfully seem to hold it all together, have enough bandwidth to get it done simultaneously. I think it's a requirement, and I think that the Tren Twins, um, Sam Sulek, I think the the younger generation of athletes slash influencers, um, are going to need to be able to do that well and not, miss a beat when it comes to still getting the work done to be a top athlete in the making.
All right, guys, let's quickly talk about tortilla chips. I know a lot of you guys enjoy a good snack once in a while. However, the problem is if you go to the store and if you look at the back of the packaging, you will literally see over 20 ingredients. And the problem is that most of them use seed oils, which is very unhealthy. That's why we have mustard chips. Mustard chips, if you look at the back of the label, for example, they only have three ingredients. In this case, it's organic corn, beef tallow, and sea salt. That's it. It's an amazing flavor, and it's actually much, much healthier than any other chip on the market. And if you like potato chips, we have Vandy potato crisps. Same deal. Only a few ingredients and never any seed oils. My personal favorite flavor is the original, of course. In this case, Masa chips offer original flavor and many other flavors for you to check out. So, ready to give Masa or Vandy a try? Use code IRON for 25% off your first order at masachips.com or vandycrisps.com. Or simply click the link in the video description or scan the QR code to claim this delicious offer. And if you don't feel like ordering online, Masa and Vandy chips are now available nationwide at your local Sprouts supermarket. So stop by and pick up a couple of bags before they're gone. Masa chips, guys. Give it a try. All right, ready for the lightning round? So this is our episode number 20, and we have 3 questions from 3 loyal listeners.
Yes, yes.
All right, so I'll give you 3 questions, and you'll try to answer them in a lightning speed, right, Kai?
Let's do it.
All right, first question is from Kai and David 309. You're gonna like this question right here. Kai, any advice for me on how to lose weight, especially belly? I don't want to give up pizza though, and Five Guys burgers. Please help.
Yeah. Well, good luck,
Come on,
man.
Kai. Give him
Hey,
some advice, man. Give him some advice.
I'm a strong proponent in not trying to give advice to people that is something that I haven't tried. Um, so yeah, man. The best thing I could tell you is, if you wanna lose body fat, then make up the mind to do it. No excuses, no exceptions, and don't worry about the not wanting to skip pizza. You may have to do that in order to put yourself on the right path with the goal attainment that you say is important to you, at least for a little while.
You did. You put the pizza down, remember?
Exactly. I mean, it's a requirement. You know what I mean? The ability to identify what is your purpose? What's the goal? What do you want to do? How will you direct your agency, your ability to determine or decide what you want to be in this life? I mean, it's yours. So I guess I would just encourage that person to get serious. Shit. If you get serious about it, the first thing that'll happen is you'll realize letting go of the pizza for a little while is not a major sacrifice. If losing weight, particularly in the belly area, is something that you really want to do.
All right. That's a good answer, Kai.
Yes, yes.
All right. Next one is from Big Fish with 4 H's at the end. Kai, talk about canned energy drinks. Do you consume them? Are they harmful or good for you? I keep hearing different opinions on this matter. So he's talking about energy drinks like in cans, What do you
You know
think?
what, man? I've heard a lot of things too that will be like conflicting information. I think anything done in excess is going to be problematic, and I'm sure, when enough research is done, you may find that some of the things you like or find as an immediate convenience might, suffer some lashes or two when you put it under scrutiny. But yeah, I think energy drinks are fine. I like to stay away from the sugar.
Most of
Like I
them are sugar
said,
free now. Most of them are sugar free these days. Most of them. A lot of them, I would say.
you know what? But you got to look at the label,
Right.
because you'll be surprised a lot of times where you thought your
Hmm.
favorite energy drink was that's why I like rain. Nah, let me stop. Let me stop. Anyway, but yeah, there's a lot to be said for knowing your product, and if you and making the choice and understanding the reason why you've chosen, this particularly notable energy drink, not just because of the name, but because maybe how the ingredient panel looks to you. I like to stay away from sugar. I'm just to be very honest with you. I'm at a stage in my life and career where I believe that sugar is the enemy, man. it is straight from Satan himself. No, I'm just kidding. But sugar is no joke. Sugar is no joke, and there's a lot of studies that will support that idea. So yeah, man, I'd rather not have to fight with myself because I've trained my taste buds to want to work against me when we start talking about um, calling for the things that I want and developing cravings for the things that I know that I should not have because they're just not good for me. But an energy drink I think is dope. Caffeine is awesome. Caffeine is awesome. And I need a little bit of caffeine to get it up.
You drink you drink energy drinks once in a while.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Did I mention rain?
You did, yeah, you
Ultraviolet
did.
fuel. I mean, yeah, man.
Rain's great. Rain is great. All right, Kai, we have last question. This one is a Patreon special. So, for those who don't know, you guys can follow us on Patreon for all of the uncensored content. Unfortunately, YouTube, tends to censor us, so we have to move to Patreon. So, this is a question. I guess, the subject matter is a bit, concerning for YouTube. So, we're gonna switch over to
Shout out
Patreon
to
for
all
this
our
one.
Patreon supporters.
There you go.
Let's give it to them something good.
All right, so this one is from under from up 1111. So he's asking. All right, Kai. Well, that was our Patreon special. That was a great answer, and we are done.
You know what, Vlad? I think, man, these things happen. They come so quick, so quick, a little too quick.
I know, man. Bro, you really had the KFC parking lot, huh? Wow. Come on, man. Come on, Kai.
Brother, I'm enjoying my holiday still.
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 Well, listen, I want to say thank you for all our listeners to tuning into the Kai Greene Effect. It's always a pleasure, man.
You've been listening to the Kai Greene Effect. For me, Vlad Uden, happy holidays to you. Thank you so much for tuning in to us. Until next time, let's keep it positive. Let's keep encouraging each other.